In this video, we are going to look at how to configure VLAN trunking protocol, that is VTP, and how VTP works. So VTP is used to synchronize VLAN database, that is VLAN.dat, across all your switches in a VTP domain. So think about you have hundreds of switches and hundreds of VLAN in your environment, and you want to configure a new VLAN in all of your switches. So what you have to do without a VTP is you have to go into all of your switches individually and then configure the VLAN individually. So it's going to take so much of your time. But if you have VTP configured in your environment, what you have to do is you go to your VTP server. This is my VTP server, and add that VLAN to the VTP server, and it will be synchronized across all your switches using the VTP domain. The key in the VTP configuration is revision number. So the VTP configuration is mainly controlled by this revision number to control the VLAN database. So I'm going to show you how it's work in the configuration. So I have a VTP server here. This is my radial switch, and this is my VTP client. This is my access switch, and I'm going to introduce this new switch here, and then I'm going to show you how this new switch get all the VLAN information instantly using the VTP. So now I'm going to go to my terminal window and show you how to configure the VTP. So if you look at my terminal window, I have three of them. This is my radial switch, and that is going to be this one. And the second one is my access switch, that is going to be this one. And the third one is my new switch I just restored to the factory default. So it's going to be asking how to configure the switch. I have connected this switch through the console cable, so it is telling you it's connected through the COM5. So let me go to my VTP server. So this is going to be my VTP server. So if you see here, I have a revision number, VLAN database, and then I have something called summary advertisement. I'm going to show you how every pieces work together to make the VTP works. So I'm going to go to, so let me enlarge this one, show VTP. Okay, so if you look at here, the default VTP status is the VTP operation mode is server, and everything is disabled. VTP pruning, VTP name is nothing, and so everything is not configured here. It's just in a regular server mode. And important thing you have to notice is configuration revision. So right now I have this in configuration revision 2. So every time when you make a change for the VTP, what happens is the configuration revision increases. So let me show you how that works. Conf T, and I'm going to make this a VTP server. So I'm going to configure my VTP domain name here, conf T VTP, and then put a question mark, and you have multiple options here. I'm going to configure domain name, and I'm going to configure the mode, and then I'm going to configure password, and I'm going to enable pruning. So pruning can be only enabled in the server mode. So let's configure my domain, VTP domain, and then I have to put a word. So I'm going to say this any network TUTOR. Okay, it's changing my domain name from null to network tutor. And I'm going to VTP mode. It's already in a server mode. There are three different modes, server, client, transparent. In the server mode, the server can create VLAN, and then it can send updates using the advertisement to all other switches. In the client mode, you cannot create VLAN, but it can send advertisements to the VTP advertisements to all other switches. But in the transparent mode, you can create VLAN, but if a switch in a transparent mode, it will not be able to send its own advertisement, the VTP summary advertisement. However, it can pass other switches VTP summary advertisement to the switches it is connected to. So I'm going to make this as a VTP mode server. That's already, just showing you how to configure a server or client. So this is going to be server. Device mode already VTP server. That's fine. And then I'm going to configure VTP password. That's going to be network TUTOR. So password has been set. And so the password is the security protocol you have to use in the VTP, because if you don't have a password, anybody can bring in a switch and then get all your VLAN information in the switch if you don't have a password. So you always better to have a password. So I have configured VTP domain. I have configured the password. I'm going to configure the VTP pruning. Switched on. So I have turned on the pruning also. So I am all set with the configuration on the switch. So let me configure the other one. So I'm going to go to my other switch here. Then I'm going to explain how things happen, how this switch goes out and get all the VLAN information. So before that, let me go and let's find out what is my VTP revision number. I made bunch of changes here. Show VTP status. And if you see here, my revision number changes from that is 2 to 3. And let me go into this switch, show VTP status. And this switch also in a VTP. So I have VTP domain name, network tutor. It is in the server mode. And let me see, VTP configuration revision is 2. So what happened here is this already in the same VTP domain. I think I have configured it before. But however, the VTP revision didn't change. The reason is, show VTP password. The VTP password is not configured. So you need to have a VTP password, then only it can get the information from my VTP server. So let me go back here. I'm going to look at how many VLANs I have in this one. Show VLAN. It tells here number of VLANs, 7. So these VLANs are 1, 10, 2 to 5, and this 1 and these other 4 are default VLANs in a Cisco switch. So I already have just 2 VLAN that I created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and conf t VLAN 10, 20, name. I'm going to say marketing, and then I'm going to go to create VLAN 20, and I'm going to name this as sales and show VTP status. If you see here, number of VLANs changes here. Number of existing VLAN is 8, and the configuration revision jumped to 5. That is, I added 2 VLANs, so the revision went from 3 to 5. These are the VLAN I created, 10, 20, 2 to 5. So these 3 plus 5 default 8. So let me create one more VLAN. VLAN, I would say 30. name testing. Okay, and show VTP status. And if you see configuration revision went from 5 to 6, number of VLANs are 9. And let me come back here, show VTP status, and I still have 7 VLANs with the configuration revision 2. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come to this, expand this one, conf VTP mode client. So it changes the VTP mode from server to client, and show VTP status. If you see now, I am in the client mode, and then conf t VTP password network TUTOR network tutor. So setting VTP password to network tutor, and show VTP status. So what happened is this has not gone out and get the configuration yet. So for that to happen, so let me see, conf t VTP domain, VTP domain network tutor. Domain already set to network tutor, and show VTP status. If you see here, my revision number is now 6 and number of existing VLAN is 9. So this switch got show VTP, show VLAN, and now it got 10, 20, 30, the VLAN I just created from this switch. So sometime VTP, you need to trigger a VTP update, you may want to just do some configuration here. Say here to trigger the update, I just went and changed the VTP name, VTP domain name again on the switch, and then that just triggered the update. So this is where I want to explain to you how VTP works. Sometimes it doesn't work as you expect, so you have to make some modification, some configuration to get the synchronization going. So let me show you how it works in here is, so the VTP revision is the one control everything. So let me, so the problem here is you cannot add a VLAN into this client. So I cannot trigger an update from the client. I only can trigger an update from the server. So now the VTP has synchronized. So let me go and do a configuration change and see whether that propagates automatically to the client switch. Config VLAN 40 name is that is going to be IT, I would say. IT, and show VTP status, and you see here number of VLANs must be, show VTP status, number of existing VLAN 10, and revision went to 7. And let me go and see here. It got the configuration change. Show VTP status. You see here number of existing VLAN 10 and revision 7. So let me put this next to each other. So both are now same. 7 configuration revision 7 and number of existing VLAN 10. So right now it got the update immediately. So this is how it's supposed to work. But you know what to do if it doesn't work. Just make some subtle change on that switch that didn't sync with the VTP, and you can trigger an update and get the sync going. So let me show you how VTP works. This is a VTP summary advertisement. This is sent every 5 minutes. In this summary advertisement, it will have VTP domain name, VTP password. VTP password is actually optional. You can skip this one. And then VTP revision number and the followers field. I will show you what this followers field. So VTP revision number is the one that controls the VTP functionality mainly. So what happened is every 5 minutes, this summary advertisement will be sent to all the switches. So all the switches will exchange this summary advertisement every 5 minutes and sync all of their VLAN database. When there's a change, what happens is, say you are adding a new VLAN, that's going to increase the revision number by 1. So when you increase the revision number, what happens is this followers field will turn on. This become turn on. That means it tells other switches there is an update coming. So in this summary advertisement every 5 minutes, it doesn't exchange the VLAN.dat file because it's a pretty big file. It has all the information. Because every 5 minutes, if it exchanges the VLAN database without no reason, no change, it's going to utilize a lot of your bandwidth. So this summary advertisement normally don't send VLAN.dat database. But when this field turn on, that has been triggered by a revision number change, it sends something called subset advertisement, resync VLAN database. So what happened is the subset advertisement sent the VLAN database information to all the switches because there was a change, and resync all the VLAN database among the VLAN VTP domain. So this is how VTP works. Look at this switch. So this switch got the subnet advertisement from this server, and then it syncs the database with this server. And there might be a bunch of other switches connected to this switch. So what this has to do is, when it get a resync and subnet advertisement from another switch, it's going to send a summary advertisement plus subnet advertisement to all of the switch it is connected to. So this is how all the switches send out this summary advertisement plus subnet advertisement to resync the VLAN database among all the switches in the VTP domain. So now you know there are two kind of messages going around the VTP domain. One is subnet advertisement, other one is summary advertisement. And there is another one called advertisement request. So what happened is, I'm going to bring this switch into the equation, and then I'm going to show you how this switch get the information, all the information instantly using advertisement request. So let me go to my terminal. So this is my new switch here. Let me open up. I would say no here, enable, show VTP status. And if you see here, number of existing VLAN is 5 and configuration revision is 0. So when you introduce a switch, what happens is you need to be extra careful with this configuration revision. So you know other switches have a configuration revision of, say, in here, configuration revision is 7. When you introduce this switch with the configuration revision higher than 7, all the switches sync this VLAN database, this switch VLAN database with all others. Think about you are bringing a switch that has all misconfigured VLANs. Think about just you are just playing with the switch, adding, removing VLAN, and then at the end, when its configuration revision is 10, you decided to remove all the VLAN from the switch. What happened is this switch come into play with the higher revision number and wipe out entire VLAN in your environment. That can cause massive network outage. So you need to be extra careful with this. I'm going to show you at the end how this works. So let's now you introduce this switch with configuration revision 0 and see this switch is going to get all the VLAN information from this one. I'm going to go and configure the VLAN domain information. VTP domain is network tutor, and VTP mode client. VTP password is also network tutor. So all is set here, and end show VTP status. If you see here, configuration revision is still 0, network tutor, and number of existing VLAN 5 configuration, because I have not added any VLAN yet. That's why it is showing the configuration revision to 0. So let's try to add just one VLAN. VLAN 100. Okay, so what happened is you cannot create a VLAN when a switch is in the client mode. So to do that, let me go to VTP mode. I'm going to say transparent VLAN 60, name Apple, and then exit VTP mode. I'm going to set this to client back. So if you want to add a VLAN, you have to change the mode. So now end show VLAN. I have 60 here. Show VTP status. And if you see here, number of existing VLAN 6, configuration revision 0. Because when you change a VTP mode, it make the configuration revision to 0. So when you add a switch, this is a quick little trick you can do is just change the VTP mode to transparent and back to client or server. That sets the revision number to 0. That's what I normally do. All right. So what we expect is we want to see this syncs the VLAN database with other ones when I join this switch to the VTP domain. So one more important thing you need to know is VTP, for the VTP to work, the link between switches has to be a trunk link. VTP doesn't work on access link. And also I told you VTP need to match the password. If your VTP environment has a password, this need to provide that password to join the VTP domain. So let me look at the configuration. I'm going to show int status, and all are in VLAN 1. And let me see. Okay, I'm going to put my cable here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Show run int gig 103, and there's no configuration. So what I'm going to do is I have the configuration, I guess, conf t, and I'm going to go to here. I think connection got closed because I was inactive on the switch for a while. So let me VTP port channels. I'm going to copy this configuration here, and I'm going to go back to my terminal here. I'm going to paste it. So 3, what happened? What did I copy? So 104, 103. And okay, I should not do this end here. So let me take that end here, do it one more time, copy, conf t. Okay, that end messed up everything. So right now, show ether channel and show ether channel summary. And you see here, I have the port channel 1 running between this switch and the radial, but I have to cable up this one. So I'm going to go and connect this port 3 here, and then I'm going to connect this one. You see here, I'm getting this one. Okay, show VTP status client. So if you see here, number of existing VLAN 10, configuration revision 7, because I provided all the information before I joined this switch to the domain, to the VTP domain. Now it gets all the information. And let me see, show VLAN. And if you see here, I have VLAN 10, 20, 30, 40. However, you see here, VLAN 60 disappeared because this, when you join this one, it basically, if there is already a VLAN.dat file, this will overwrite this one. So that's how it got all the VLAN. And because it has to sync the VLAN database from other switches, because the server doesn't have any information about VLAN 60. So when it sends the VLAN database, it's basically overwrite. So that's what this advertisement request does. When you join this switch, it will send an advertisement request because it cannot wait 5 minutes to get the regular summary advertisement. So it has to do a request, advertisement request, and then it will send the summary advertisement and subnet advertisement immediately to sync its database. So now you know how it works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the switch out. I'm going to remove this connection. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase its show VTP status. Now the configuration revision is 7 across all the switches. I'm going to come here and I'm going to conf t Okay, no VLAN 10. VLAN VTP is not allowed in a client device because it's a client device. I cannot make any change. So let me conft VTP mode transparent, and then no VLAN 10, no VLAN 20, no VLAN 30, and end show VTP status. And you see here the revision is 0 now because I had to change the mode here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to configure this as a server, VTP mode server, and show VLAN, and all the VLANs has been deleted. So let me conft no VLAN 40, and I want to see if the configuration revision increases. Show VTP status. Okay, configuration revision increased by 1. And then conft VLAN 100, VLAN 200, VLAN 300, VLAN 400, and show VTP status. And now configuration revision is 5. So I had to go back 2 more again, and I'm going to delete all of them. No VLAN 100, no VLAN 200, no VLAN 300, and show VTP status. And now my configuration revision is 8, which is higher than the other 2 switches here. And show VLAN, and then look at, so I have VLAN 400 only. There's no VLAN 10, 20, 30. And it has a higher revision than other ones. So let me make sure this has the highest revision, that's 8. Let me close this one, don't save, and then I'm going to go to my console cable. I'm going to go to my server. All right, so now I am in the server, and let's go to my client. I'm on the client, and this is my other one. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show VTP status. So this is a server, so let me set this to client again, conft. So my understanding is even client with the higher revision number can overwrite the VLAN.dat file. So let me go to VTP mode client, and VTP domain name is already been there. And right, I want to show ether channel summary. The ether channel is still there. Now I'm going to wire them up. So what it's supposed to happen is it should overwrite everything here. All right, so let's look at my other switch. Show VTP status, number of existing VLAN 7. And if you see here, configuration revision is 8. Show VLAN and all. You see here, I only have VLAN 400. All my other VLANs, 10, 20, 30, all is gone, right? Only thing I didn't do is I didn't remove this one because this is how I am connected using the PuTTY to all the switches. So I should not make any change on this one. But what happened is if you messed up the switch enough with your management VLAN also, you will lose connectivity to all the switches. That will be horrible, right? And then all your clients will be without network connectivity. So this is called VTP Wipeout. So it has wiped out everything. So in this one is gone, and let me go here, show VTP status, and this also configuration revision 8, and number of existing VLAN is 7. Show VLAN, and you see here it has only VLAN 400. Everything else is gone. So let me show you the last thing in the VTP. I enabled VTP pruning. So the VTP pruning is used to conserve switch resources and the bandwidth. So let me show you how it works. So these are 3 switches here, switch 1, 2, 3, and this switch has client on VLAN 10, 20, 30, and this switch has client only on VLAN 30, and this has client on VLAN 10 only. So this switch, it has one switch behind it that has VLAN 10, and this has 30. So this switch, it should not send any traffic on VLAN 20 or VLAN 30 to this switch. So what it does is it goes to switch 1 and tells, hey, switch 1, we only need VLAN 10 and VLAN 30 traffic. Please prune all other VLANs. Because this says V, that means switch 2 and switch 3. So what happened is VLAN 20 will not be coming through this trunk. That is a broadcast. You know how broadcast can consume the bandwidth. So VLAN 20 broadcast will be cut here. And when it comes to this switch 3, what it does is, hey, switch 2, I only need VLAN 10 traffic. Please prune all other traffic. So what it does is this link will not pass a broadcast from VLAN 20 or VLAN 30. Only VLAN 10 traffic goes through this trunk. So this way, if you have hundreds of switches and hundreds of VLAN, think about the broadcast can be pretty massive. So VTP pruning basically eliminate unnecessary VLAN passing through the trunk. Hope you liked this video. If you like, please hit the like button. And if you like to see more of my videos, just hit the subscribe button. And if you want to get notified immediately when I release a video, turn on the notification. I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.